Good evening, listeners. It is my pleasure to welcome you again to The Intellectuals, a talk show of Charles Awuzie platform. Today, we have with us a great and amazing woman. She is a champion of women empowerment from spending some of her childhood in a foster care, working in a hairdressing salon at the age of 12, and later working as a secretary. Our guest has risen to success through hard work and through hope. It is my pleasure tonight to welcome the Executive Director of Hirsch stores in South Africa. Welcome, Mrs. Margaret Hirsch.
Thank you so much, Charles, and thank you for having me on your show tonight. I hope that everybody's going to enjoy the show very much. Yeah.
Great, great. Can you please tell us about yourself? Who is Margaret?
Well, I am a daughter. My mother's still alive. She's 96, and I'm 71 this year. So, yeah, I've been around a long time. And then I'm a wife. I've been married to my husband for almost 50 years. I have two children. My son is 45. He's CEO of our company. And my daughter is 43, and she's in charge of all the marketing in the company. So yeah, it's
Wow.
very much a family business. We work really, really hard. We all work together, and it really goes incredibly well. It wasn't an easy life. My father died when I was 10, and I saw my mother struggle in a world where she really couldn't cope. And that's what pushed
Mm,
me into women empowerment today. And that's why I work with women empowerment today, because
wow.
yeah, I just don't want to see anybody suffer like she did.
Wow. Wow. You are an inspiration, Margaret. You are a huge inspiration. I'm going to go straight to my first question for you. You know,
Yeah.
Margaret, tell us, what was your early days in business like? Tell us about your early days in business. What challenges did you meet, and your motivation in those days? Please tell us.
Well, our business started, well, my own business started first because when I'd been married for 5 years, and when I told my boss I was pregnant, he fired me. He just said 2 words, "You're fired." And in those days, there was no CCMA. You took your handbag, went
Mm.
home. And so I was 4.5 months pregnant, and I had no job. So I started my own business as I was a shorthand typist. I would type all the stuff for people in the morning, and they would fetch it in the evening, and then I would type in the night for other people, and they would fetch their stuff in the morning. And so I went. And my husband at that stage was a refrigeration technician, and he spoke to his boss, and he said, people are starting to discount. And this was in the early
Mm.
70s, 72, 73, when Alan J. Hellman started Game, and Dion Friedlander started Dion's, and Tony Factor was big in Joburg. And he said to his boss, "Look, I'm just the repairman here, but why don't you discount stuff and you'll sell so much more?" And his boss said, if you're so clever, why don't you go start your business? So we went from having 2 jobs and no children to having 2 children and no jobs in the space of 1 year. Now that
Wow.
propels you forward when you've got extra mouths to feed and you have no money coming in. You have to work incredibly hard. So we did. And it started off very slow. We started off just repairing air conditioners, and then we went to
Wow.
fixing fridges and stoves and washing machines. And then people would sometimes say, "Look, this is really ancient. We can't fix it anymore." And then they would go and buy a new one. So we would buy the new one, and we would sell it to them, and then we would put a little bit of profit on it, and that's how we started, very, very slowly, just ones and twos, until one
Wow.
day we bought in a microwave oven. Now, do you think back in 1979, people didn't even know what a microwave oven was. So we
Mm.
bought one, and we didn't know what it was either. So I took it home one weekend, and I found that it combined two of my favorite things: speed and food. So I could cook something really, really quickly. So I went up and I decided to show other people how to use the microwave oven. So my shop was so small, it was as big as your toilet. So we had to put all the stuff outside on the pavement. And I invited some ladies in, and I cooked a chicken, I cooked a pineapple upside down cake, and I made some fudge. And just on half an hour, I let them eat the food, and they were so blown away. They bought the microwaves. And that was our tipping point. In any business, you get a tipping point. That was our tipping point. And that tipped us from just going along and joining the crowd of all 97% of all other businesses that fail in 3 years. That was our tipping point. And that's what I say to everybody starting a business. You've got to have one unique feature, one feature that
Yeah.
differentiates you from the rest of the world, because everybody's doing
Yeah.
what you do. You have to have one thing that's different. And that was our difference, that we took the microwave
Wow.
oven, which was new, we cooked in it, we showed people how to use it. And that took us, and from there we went from strength to strength. So we started very small
Wow.
in one tiny little shop. And we moved to a slightly bigger shop where I had a cookery school where I taught cooking in a microwave. And then from there, we just grew and grew and grew. We bought another shop. We bought a business that was failing. We started very slowly. You know, people think, you know, I always say my overnight success took me 35 years. So it's not, it doesn't happen. There's no magic pill that you can take to become rich overnight or to have a successful business overnight. It takes long, hard hours of hard work. And that people say to me, what's your secret of success? I said 2 words, hard work. There's no substitute for that.
Wow. And Margaret, you mentioned something, you know, that touched me. You mentioned being fired for being pregnant. And I'm going to say something to you. One of the things that inspires me personally about you is how you treat your employees, how your relationship with your workers. You know, I watch from afar and I am super inspired. And I want to ask you a straight question. You know, did you're being fired in any way inspire you to be the nice boss you are to your employees? Did it in any way inspire who you are today?
I always say to people, your biggest asset is your employees. I mean, without them, you can't do everything yourself. Especially me, I've got 22 shops around the country now. I can't be in 22 places at once. So what I did is I started teaching my staff myself. I teach all of them myself, and I teach them how I want the job done. Because if you don't teach them, how on earth would they know? People often employ somebody, give them the job, and they expect them to do it, and they didn't teach them. So I teach them all how to do the job, and I tell them how I want it done. And from there, I just check on them. And you know, if you give a person a bit of responsibility, they're usually very good and they stick to it and they do their job properly. So I look after my staff. I mean, I know all their names, I know their wives, I know their husbands, I know how many children they've got, I know where they live, and everything, right from our cleaners right to the CEO. I know them all, and there's a lot of them. I have to tell you a lot. But you know, if you want them to look after you, you have to look after them. So we give them, you know, we give them medical aid. I look after their health. Encourage them to buy their own cars so that they don't have to use public transport. So with us, in 6 months, you should buy your own car. And within 5 years, you should own your own home. And we help them and we encourage them to do that. The other thing that makes us very different is, well, firstly, we have everything we want. We work to help our employees to get everything that they want. But we also help them to grow. So we do lessons. If they haven't got matric, we help them to get their matric. And then from there, and that's why I got my MBA last year. And I was a serial studier. I did journalism.
Congratulations.
I did a business degree. I did my honors. I did my postgrad, and I had to do it because I had to show them that they could do it too. I did it because I wanted to, and I love studying, but I did it to say to them, I can work a full-time job and I can do this. And when students come to me and say, oh, Mrs. Hirsch, please sponsor me. I want to go to university and get a degree. And I say, excuse me, I got my degree while I was working full-time. If I can do it, you can do it too. Here's the proof, it's in the pudding. And so many people now, in fact, one girl who works for me part-time, she said, I would never, ever have been able to pay this. And she said, the other nice thing about it, if I borrowed money, I would spend the first 5 years of my life paying back my student loan. Whereas now, when I qualify, I don't have to work for anybody. I can work where I want. That's my message for Women's Month, which is this month. I'm saying to women, financially free women are free to make choices. You know, we could get rid of gender-based violence overnight if these women were financially free. The only reason they have to take the clubs is because they're not financially free. So if we can teach them a job and teach them a skill and let them earn money from that skill, and you know, women are incredibly talented. You know, I teach them to bake. I teach them to ice cakes. I teach them to cook food. I teach them sewing. I teach them to look after children. We teach them so many different things. And as soon as they become financially independent, they are so free. They can make choices and they can do whatever they want. They don't have to listen to anybody else. And that's, you know, a financially free woman she's free. She can look after her children. She's not, you know, chasing some man for childcare, for rent and for food and that type of thing. So that's my aim, is to make every woman in South Africa financially free so she can make her own choices.
Wow. Look, guys, I'm speaking directly now to our viewers. You know, when Margaret says she knows the names of her workers, she knows the names of their wives. Look, she is talking about dozens and dozens of people. She doesn't have just 5, 10, 20, you know, tell me, hundreds, literally.
Sorry, I lost you there for a minute.
Okay, so I'm saying you have hundreds of these workers. Dozens and hundreds of employees, and you know many of them by name. So guys, this is a challenge. Go ahead, Margaret.
Yeah, I know all of them because I've employed all of them. So, and we've got
Wow.
satellite companies working under us. So we've got our own employees who work for our company directly. But in
Yeah.
1994, we didn't know what was going to happen to the country. So what I said to all my employees is, we don't know what's going to happen to this country. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start all of you in your own businesses. So we took all our trucks and we sold them to our drivers at very low prices and let them pay us back. And we set them up in their own businesses. And then I took we have a lot of people who work for us, like we have air conditioning installers and we have gas installers and we have electricians and plumbers and a lot of different people doing different jobs aligned to our business. So we started them all in their jobs. I started 32 of them in their own businesses. And this is my
32 of them.
Yes, in their own businesses. Wow. So this is a formula. So the man does the work, i.e. he's the driver or the technician or the gas installer, whoever. But the woman does the books. Now, this is a very, very important part of this philosophy, because if the woman does the books, the man doesn't go anywhere because she's controlling the money. And I want to tell you, in a country where the divorce rate is 73%, every one of those couples are still married today, and we're 20 odd years later. So it really works. It's a formula that really works. The family stays together. The husband and wife stay together. The money stays in the family. The business grows, and everything goes well. It's a formula that works 100%, I have to tell you. So, so all of them, and today, some of the businesses I started in 1994, their sons are working for me now. Their children are working for me because they qualified, they got their degrees, and there were no jobs for them. So they came and worked with their fathers. They expanded the business, and the businesses are going from strength to strength. We've got to realize we live in a country of wealth and abundance. This is a country with more wealth than any other. And we've got everything at our fingertips. But what do? We don't utilize it. We walk around moaning and groaning about everything. I think of the people of South Africa had to realize that we're the breadbasket of the world. We've got the most amazing, rich land. We've got all the wonderful minerals. We've got a fantastic workforce. We just have to change the work ethic. And if we can do that, there'll be no stopping this country. And we can't let foreigners come in and just help themselves to our beautiful country. We've got to look after this country and make it the best that we possibly can.
Yeah. Wow. Look, I'm blown away. I'm blown away by your philosophy in life, your way of thinking, your intelligence, and your humanity. At the center of it is a kind heart who connects with everyone, despite who they are or where they're coming from. I celebrate you for that. I celebrate you. I follow your virtual entrepreneurship workshop. I follow it religiously, and I listen to your manager. He was a guest, in on your platform, and he was saying that you, his boss, you inspired them to start a side hustle. I was like, this is crazy. I mean, who does that?
Everybody should have two streams of income. You can't just have one stream of income. If you only have one stream of income and that dries up, where does that leave you? It leaves you with nothing. And you don't want to be in this world. And I've been left with nothing. And you don't want to be there. It's a horrible place to be. So I encourage all the staff to have a side hustle. So every single one of my staff has a side hustle. So for instance, my cashiers, I encourage them to sell Tupperware or Average Lane or Herbalife or something on the side, because you get amazing training from those, multi-level marketing companies. They train you, that you get over the rejection. People tell you buzz off and take it. So you don't get upset. The first 500 times you do, but after that you don't. And so, like for instance, my manager of my Umhlanga store, he owns a furniture factory and he makes furniture as a side hustle. My assistant Shane, he has a separate business where he does social media for other people. And so most of my staff have a side hustle. One of my salesmen yesterday, I said to him, I want to promote you and I want to move you to Cape Town. He said, I can't do that. He said, I've got a car wash in Randburg. I'm not going to Cape Town. So they've got car washes. They look after people's kids. They teach people's kids. They teach things to, they have a skill. They teach other people. So I encourage every single one of my staff to have a side hustle. So they have two streams of income. So they have their salary coming in and they have other money coming in. What it does is it keeps them honest. It keeps them reliable. It makes them understand business. They understand they've got their business, so they won't mess around in my business. So it has a lot of great things, and And I say to them, when you're earning more in your side hustle than you're earning from me, that's the time you leave. And you start your side hustle. You carry on with it and you make a success of it. And we've got one guy who started with us selling beds, and now he owns his own bed factory and his own bed shop.
Wow. Wow. So, and he still works with you.
He started off working with me, but then he started earning more money out from his bed factory. So he left us and he works now in his bed factory. Yeah.
Wow, that's great. That's great. Look, if you are an employer and you are watching tonight, this is an inspiration for you. You go back to your business, empower your employees, give them, all that they need to become successful like you. Don't have this thing of I'm the boss and I have to be the boss forever.
Yeah.
That philosophy has got to change. Go back there and empower those who are working with you. This is one lesson that I've got from you tonight, Margaret. And I'm going to go straight to a question which was sent in to us by one of the people on the platform. And they want to know, how can a small business transition from a tiny corner shop to a colossal organization like what you have today? How did you make it? How did you build systems that transitioned you from a tiny corner shop to a phenomenal business? Please tell us.
Well, as I said to you, there's no magic pill. There's only two words: hard work. And you've got to be hard work, you've got to be persistent, and you've got to be resilient. You have to really do. But the other thing that you've got to do is you've got to give back to others. You can't just keep it to yourself. If you're hugging all the money to yourself, it doesn't work. Money has to flow. So, for instance, in the middle of all the looting and the rioting and rebuilding my shop, which was burnt and everything, I was building a school in Komashi for children. And what one of the teachers wrote to me, she said, Margaret, you've got to help us. We've got 700 children here, and they're all drinking from one tap, and we don't have any toilets, and it's terrible here. So in the middle of that, I was building 19 toilets for the school. I built the principal and her teachers beautiful toilets that they could go to, flushing toilets, which to them is like wonderful. And we put in wash basins for the hands and that type of thing. So, you've got to give back to other people. You can't just be taking stuff for yourself. So this is a picture of me where I go into the schools and I teach, especially the girls. Here you can see I've got my apron on. Now on my apron is drawn my uterus and my ovaries. And I explain to them how their body work, and I explained to them it's drawn on the apron because my real ones are long gone, but I show them how their bodies work. I try and stop them from falling pregnant. I give them reusable sanitary pads so that they can go to school every day. Otherwise, most of the girls they only go to school for 3 weeks of the month. They don't go 4 weeks, so their marks are bad. They can't write tests and that. So we give them the reusable sanitary pads. I show them how their body works. I try and stop them from falling pregnant. And I have a gentleman who works with me who teaches the boys and teaches them to respect women and how to treat a woman and how to be kind to women. And so we go into the schools and we teach the children from little. My absolute best is 2 to 6 year olds because I believe children's characters are formed between the ages of 1 and 5. Then I work in the junior schools with the children. Like now I'm working in a junior school and we've made them toilets. I'm building a soccer field for the school at the moment.
Wow.
And then and the people say, why are you building the soccer field? I said, the boys are playing soccer. They're not getting up to mischief. You can keep them playing soccer. So, and a netball pitch for the girls we're building. And there's so much that you can do. And that's why I love this country because, there's so much that people can do to help other people. And it doesn't have to cost you a lot because often you can you can give of your skills, you can give of your time, to help these children. And that's what we do. So, I do have the money, but then I pay people to go, like I've had the bricklayer laying bricks there and the plumber doing plumbing. And I'm so pleased. And, the teachers came to me this week when I went to check on my guy and see how he was working. And she said to me, thank you, Margaret, for giving me back my dignity. She said, you have no idea how terrible it is to be the principal of the school and having to go to the toilet in the bush. And she said, now I have a beautiful flushing toilet and I'm so happy. And a simple thing like that can make such a difference in a person's life. It's just amazing.
Wow. Yeah, I have a video that I'm just going to play for the audience to further strengthen on what you said about the schools. Here it is.
It's possible.
It's possible.
Now with more energy, it's possible.
It's possible.
Now with a lot of energy, it's possible.
It's possible.
breaking the toilets. Yeah, so yeah, we do it. I love it. I love the work I do. It's just, for me, it's an absolute blessing to be able to do it. I love to encourage the children. I tell them that it's possible. Everything is possible. You can be anything you want. You can be anyone you want to be. You can do anything you want. You can have anything you want if you just work. It's a very simple. That's that 4-letter word that most people never do, is work, and work hard and consistently every day.
Yeah. Wow. And there is something striking that you said, Margaret. You said, let the money flow. Don't hold it. Let it flow. And something struck me. When you let it flow, then the business grows. Where did you get that from? I mean, you know, did you hear it from someone else, or you get these inspirations from within you? How do you generate this inspiration?
How do I generate business inspiration? Well, money has to flow. You've got to make money, but you've got to share it. You know, you can't just hang it all to yourself. So when we, as I said to you, we started off by selling our trucks to our drivers and letting them start their businesses. I work with women, and women come to me. I mean, I've got a lady called Anna who came to me, and she was 56 years old. She only had 30 Rand between her and starvation. She said, "You've got to help me. I'm tired of being poor." So we took the 30 Rand, we went to the spa, we bought some groceries, we came back, we baked a cake. When we finished icing the cake, I said, "Okay, now go and sell that cake for 60 Rand." So she went and sold for 60 Rand. When she came back, I said, "Okay, now let's go back to the spa." We went and bought groceries, and we bought ingredients to make 2 cakes. And we made the 2 cakes, and we went back. We sold them for 120 Rand. We came back, we made 4 cakes. And so we went on. And today, she's a millionaire in her own right. She drives a Mercedes-Benz. She's got a beautiful home in Somerset West. And she did that all from starting with 30 Rand. And she built up from there. In fact, just 3 weeks ago, a lady came to me, and her name is Pearl, and she said to me, "Margaret, you've got to help me. And I said, "How much money have you got?" And she tipped her purse out, and all she had between her and starvation was 70 Rand. And I said, "Okay, let's take that 70 Rand." We bought ingredients. She started making scones and ngwenya. You know what ngwenya is? It's like what Afrikaans people call feta. And she started making those, and I would phone her at 4 o'clock in the morning when I get up. I'd say, "Pearl, wake up, get up, you've got to start cooking." And she would get up and she would start cooking. And I said, 7 o'clock, you've got to be on the side of the road selling your scones and your fed cook. And she phoned me now. This is only 3 weeks later, and she's banking 2,000 Rand at a time. So, you know, it's possible to do this, but you've got to do it ongoing. Some people can work hard for a short time and then they stop. You can't stop. You can't stop. You have to keep at it because it keeps building. The momentum carries you forward. It's like a train. If it's going really fast, it'll just keep going. But if you stop the train, it's hard to start it again. It goes cha-chuk, 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 and it takes a long time before it starts going fast again. So you can't stop. Here, people want to stop on weekends. We do 80% of our business on weekends, while other people are not working. We are working. That's where we do 80% of our business. So, you know, and I mean, I get up 4 o'clock in the morning. 4 o'clock in the morning, I'm up, I'm ready, I'm showered, I'm dressing, I'm ready for the day, you know. And then so I get an extra, I mean, most people are waking up at 7, I get an extra 3 hours every day, times that by 7 days a week, times that by 30 days of the month. I'm getting much more time to do things. And people say, where do you find the time to study? Well, I study because I stay up late at night. I don't go to sleep till midnight. So if I've got to study, I can study then. So I think a lot of people sleep too much. You don't need to sleep as much. You know, if you go, a human being needs about 4 hours sleep. If you sleep for 8 hours, you'll wake up as tired as you went to bed.
That's great. A comment from Juliet Scott says, "I am not surprised to hear that her business is doing great. She has invested great care in her employees. She believes in their capacity and works hard." And that's the truth. That's the truth. Margaret has raised multi-millionaires. My life is inspired by her success. I got into electronics. I got into the power bank business because of the inspiration I got from Margaret. She's my biggest inspiration. You know, she and Mr. Al and her husband, they're my biggest inspiration. And that person says, you know, everything is possible. And that's your words to the kids. Everything is possible. Thanks for this reminder. Thanks for this reminder. And I have a question from Kel Armstrong. He's asking, "Hello, ma'am. I would want to know what your biggest challenge in managing such a huge number of employees is. Your biggest challenge in managing such a huge number of employees." What is the biggest challenge? It's one of my biggest fears.
The biggest challenge is you can't be everywhere at once, and you really have to be working with them to keep them inspired, to keep them on track, and that type of thing. So, but how did I overcome the challenge? There's always challenges. So the question is always, how did you overcome it? So, before COVID, I was traveling. I was working Monday, Tuesday, Joburg, Wednesday, Thursday, Cape Town, Friday, Saturday, Durban, Sunday on my farm, and 1 week of the month out of Africa, because I also work for Women Empowerment Africa, where we go around Africa empowering other women and teaching them how to make money. Because if women can make money, they're financially free. So every morning I would go around and have a meeting like that in my branches. But with COVID, you'd think it would be impossible, but it's not. It actually made it so much easier, because now what I do is I go in on Zoom and I speak to all 22 branches, and we have between 70 and 122 people in the branch, and I speak to them all over Zoom, and I speak to them every morning, and every morning they have to speak to. They have to say something that's going to motivate me for the day, which obviously motivates everybody else. They have to tell us what they're grateful for, because if you're grateful, God gives you more to be grateful for. The minute you bitch and moan, He gives you more to bitch and moan about. So we thank God for our day. We thank God for our life. We thank God for the roof over our head, the food on our table, and that we've got a job to come to. And we tell Him how grateful we are for all the blessings that He gives us. And with that gratitude comes an amazing feeling of more. And by the law of attraction, you attract more to yourself. So, and then we tell a joke, because laughter is the best medicine. And we say why we're proud to work for the biggest independent company of appliances and electronics in this country. So we do that all together. We sing, we dance, we sing something like, I believe I can, I believe I will, I believe I know my goals are real. And with that, we have positive affirmations. I'm strong, I'm powerful, I'm blessed. And with that, we inspire each other. I could never do this on my own. We work as a great cohesive team, but we all have the same focus. We know where we're going. We know why we're working. We're working to improve our lives. And each one of them, they have a set of goals. So everybody, when they come, they have to write a set of 5 business goals, 5 personal goals. So their personal goals, if they haven't got a car, to buy their own home, to send their children to private schools, to have money in the bank. So they write them down and they look at them every day. And their business goals, depending on the job they do, they've got to have a perfect stock take. They've got to balance everything, whatever they've got to do. So they work towards those goals every day. They're not just coming, I'm at work. What am I going to do all day? They know why they're at work. They know what they're coming for. They have their dream. They've got that picture of that motor car in front of them that they want. They've got a picture of the house that they want. They've got a picture of their children in those fancy school uniforms. So that they know why they're there. If you know your why, if you haven't read that book by Simon Sinek, you've got to know your why. Why are you doing this?
Yeah.
And when you know that, as a human being, your brain just processes it. This is what I want. This is why I'm doing it. And you do it with joy and enthusiasm. You don't do it begrudgingly. If you've ever been to Department of Home Affairs, they begrudge everything. They're not joyful about their jobs. And so when you come into my stores, you can feel that the people are happy to be there. And every day they say, I'm so happy I have this job to come to. It makes a big difference. It makes a big difference if you know your why. And if you inspire your staff, they'll work with you. You work towards a common goal. That's what it's all about. So you mustn't be afraid of anything. Fear is false evidence appearing real. Fear is thinking what you don't want rather than what you do want. So people say, I'm worried. I'm so worried I won't be able to manage it. Well, don't worry about it, because if you're worrying, you're thinking what you don't want to happen. You have to turn that around to think what you do want to happen. Because what you think about, you put out all day long. It says in the Bible, if you can see it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand. You have to be able to see what you want. If you see what you don't want, that's what you're going to get.
Yeah. Wow. We're going to go on a short break. And when I come back, I'm going to discuss a topic that I have heard you talk about several times. It's about imagination. And you just spoke about it, imagining the car you want to drive, the house you want to live. We're going to talk about that once we come back. But before then, here is just a quick break.
You are welcome, oh dear great minds. You are welcome to the intellectuals. You are welcome to learn and unlearn. Think what thinkers with Charles Awuzie.
Great, you're welcome back. Just before we went on the break, Margaret, you were talking about inspiring your employees to think, to imagine, the house they want to live in, the car they want to drive in, kind of schools they want their kids to go to. So I've heard you talk about imagination many times, and I want to hear you talk about it on my platform today. tell us the power of imagination. How do you imagine and what do you imagine?
Well, I have a fantastic imagination. I live in my imagination a lot of the time. I'm imagining what I want to happen all the time. But if you don't have a powerful imagination and you're not sure how to do it, you've got to have what's called a vision board. So you do a circle, just draw a circle, and you draw a cross again and a cross. So you divide it into like 8 pieces of a cake. And you say to yourself, what is the most important thing? Now, if I had to ask you what the most important thing in your life is, most people say love or money or the children or my husband or whatever. The most important thing in your life, which has really been brought home recently, is your health. Without your health, you have nothing. So it's no good being the richest person in the graveyard. That's no good. You've got to be healthy. And especially in the pandemic, that's really brought it home to us. So your health is really important. So those of you who don't know, I'm a vegan, which means I don't eat meat, chicken, fish, and I don't drink milk, and I don't have eggs. So I don't have any animal products in my body. So, and I'm 21 years old this year, and I've never been sick in my life because I don't eat. So, if you eat animal products, you will get sick. There's no doubt. So if you don't want to get sick, you just stop eating them and you'll feel so much. I mean, my hair is thick at my age. Most people are losing their hair. My skin is fine. I have energy. I can do things because I don't eat any animal products. I only eat vegetables and fruit. So I have a vegan cookbook. So if you don't know how to cook vegan, I have a cookbook out which teaches you how to cook vegan. And you'll be so much healthier. But also you'll be so much more wealthy because when you look at your grocery trolley, in my trolley, there's no meat, there's no chicken, there's no fish, there's no eggs, there's no milk, there's no cheese, there's no yogurt. So you're only having fresh vegetables, which is healthy for you and it costs a lot less than putting all that stuff in your trolley. So your health is really important to you. Secondly, you've got to exercise. Today people spend a lot of time in front of the computer, in front of the TV set. If you don't move your body, you start to creak and groan. I mean, you see people of my age walking, they don't walk, they shuffle and they can't move. You don't want to be like that. So I do yoga every day. I have a fabulous girl that I do yoga with. And and it just loosens us up. And we're 70 years old and we still, like on Sunday, we're going for a swim in the sea at 7 o'clock in the morning. We do things that get your energy going. You can't say, I want to be energetic and enthusiastic, but I'm just going to sit in front of this TV all day. You can't do that. You've got to do that. The second most important thing that people don't realize is that your partner will bring you 99% of your happiness or your unhappiness in your life. It's so important to choose the right person. If you choose the wrong person and you're living with the wrong person, you've got to get the hell out of there because you only have one life and you don't want to ruin it. My brother-in-law and my sister-in-law were married for 37 years before they told each other they'd made a mistake. They'd married the wrong person. And they both knew that after 3 weeks. Just imagine how different their lives would have been if they'd have said, look, sorry, I've made a mistake. I'm out of here. So, and that's why I say, when I chose my husband and note my words, I chose him. He didn't choose me. I chose him. And we had the most amazing marriage for 50 years. We just had the most happy marriage because we chose the right person. And if you have that person, it makes such a difference in your life. The other thing is your family. In every family, you have a black sheep in the family. And my brother was a black sheep. He was an alcoholic, and we used to put him into rehab and eventually I said to my mother, we've got to let him go. And she said, you can't let him go. He's flesh and blood. And I said, you know what? He's pulling us down. We've got to let him go. So we let him go. And guess what happened? His life got better and so did ours. He found a wonderful woman who looked after him and took him off our hands. And our life got better because we didn't have to worry about him all the time. So sometimes in your family, you've got people that you want to be around, but sometimes you've got to let some of your family members go because they're just going to pull you down, down, down until you're going to get to their level if you're not careful. And then, I think your job is really important. And your job, I told you, 2 streams of income. You have your job. I sell irons and toasters and kettles for a living. But my passion is women empowerment. So I do both. You can do both. You can have both. So I do one that brings in the money to put the food on the table. But then I do what I'm passionate about. And I don't even think about the money. It just flows. And then money is important. A lot of people can't speak about money. In my house, we never spoke about money. Never spoke about money. I love to talk about it because the more you talk about it, the more you know about it, and the more intelligent you are in how you use it. How I think it works is God gives you a little bit of money and he sees how you use it. If you are careful with it and you make it grow, he gives you more. If you waste it, he doesn't give you any more. If you give me your last 100 rand and I tear it up and I put my hand out for another 100 rand, what you going to say? You're going to say, I'm not going to give you another 100 rand. You just tore the last one up. And that's what God's like. He sees you smoking and blowing it, lighting it and blowing it into the sky. He don't give you any more money. If he sees you
Yeah.
putting alcohol down your throat and peeing it up against the wall, he just this person is not going to value this money. But if he sees you working hard and building a business, he's going to say, "Shuff, this person really deserves some money." So it's just amazing. And then you've got to have nice things around you. I've got nice clothes. I live in a nice house.
Yeah.
It's nice to have nice things around you. I've been very poor. When my father died, my mother was earning 30 Rand a month. We lived in somebody's back room, the Beta Karma, the outhouse. That's where I lived.
Yeah.
Child growing up. And I decided I didn't want that life. I decided that there's got to be a better life for me. And I decided that if I worked hard and I saved my money, I could have the life that I want. And I do. So you've got to be really careful, but it's nice to have nice things around you. You feel good if you've got nice things. If you you feel terrible, you don't want to feel like that. So it's good to have that. And then your spiritual life, you have to. It doesn't matter if you pray to God, Buddha, Allah, Krishna, Rama, Jehovah, whoever. You can pray, but so long as there's a higher power that you've got to answer. You can't do what you want, because someday you're going to have to go up there and say, "Oh my gosh," he's going to say, "What the hell did you do? You were doing it wrong."
Yeah.
And then, of course, the biggest thing of all is you've got to give back. You've got to give to others. You can have anything you want in your life if you help enough people to get what they want. So there we go. Yeah. I like the way he says it. It's fruits and veg only. That's a huge discipline. It's actually easy. It's so easy. And I could no more eat a piece of meat now than you could fly to the moon, because it's just, I wouldn't even think about it.
Wow. Look, this is massive. This is massive, and there are lots of people who are watching, who are trying to make a better decision in their diets, especially people like myself. I've been told by my doctor many times they said, "Charles, look, you have to lose weight. You just have to lose weight." And somehow I make excuses, and if someone at your age, you're 71 and you can discipline yourself this way, I'm personally, and a lot of people on this platform, we are inspired by your discipline, Margaret. We are massively inspired.
You said you went to your doctor. If you're a vegan, you won't even go to the doctor. I think the last time I went to the doctor was I went recently to have a blood test, because I had to go for a COVID test.
Yeah.
But before that, I think the last time I went to the doctor was when I had my children.
Wow.
Actually, no, the last time was when I had my hysterectomy, which I had from choice. But before that was my children. But so you don't go to the doctor because you don't get sick.
Wow. I'm going to keep you posted with my vegan journey. I'm starting from tomorrow. I'm telling you.
Come and get my vegan cookbook. I'll send it to you, and you'll be able to cook vegan.
Thank you.
And you'll never look back. And
Wow.
you'll feel so much better. And my friend, I was always vegetarian, but my friend went vegan, and I saw her hair became looking good. Her skin looked good.
Wow.
She had so much energy. It was just amazing. And so I went the same. And you will not know yourself. You'll be like a different person. It's just amazing.
Wow. That's the way to go. And I'm starting from tomorrow. I've always, I have a friend in the US. He's at Silicon Valley. He is a vegan. And for the past 3 to 4 years, he's been saying to me, "Charles, this is the way to go. This is the way to go. You have to take care of your health. Don't just go chasing after money. You need to be alive to, enjoy the money you're making." And this is what you're teaching us tonight. That look, it's okay to do business, but take care of yourself. Look after yourself. And that's some really great inspiration right there, Margaret.
Yeah, what a lot of people don't realize is you can't pour from an empty cup. If you haven't got any energy in you, you can't give it to somebody else. You have to have the energy to give it away. And what we saw a lot of times now, when everybody went through a really hard time, which we did in KwaZulu-Natal with the looting, a lot of my friends, and I always say, if you squeeze an orange, you can only get out orange juice. You can't squeeze an orange and get out tomato juice. It doesn't work like that. And when you put people under pressure, you see the real person coming out. And there were a lot of people who just ran away and didn't want to face it. And then those tough ones like us, we just said, we're going to face this. We're going to get through it. We're through it now. And we're up and running already, where others haven't even cleared up the mess yet, and still thinking about when they're going to open it. So I think in life, you've got to take what life gives you and just think it's a bump in the road. We've got to move through it. God gives you challenges, and I think He wants to see how tough you are. And He gives us a few hectic challenges to take care of.
Wow. I've got a video on the looting in South Africa to play for you. Then I'm going to ask some questions on it. So
Yeah.
here is the video.
Okay.
Look,
Yeah, that
first,
was
I'm
really
sorry for what you went through. Go ahead. Tell us about the looting.
well. So, the worst thing was that we knew there was going to be trouble, so we closed all our stores countrywide, which for us was a big decision because obviously we make a lot of money in a day, and to say that we're not going to earn any money, we told our staff to
Yeah.
stay at home, and we said your safety is worth more than all the money in the world, so stay at home and you'll stay safe. So they stayed at home, and we saw that they were looting Macro across the road, and we didn't think they'd come to us because we were across the road. We had an 8-foot fence with 4 rows of electric wire on top, and we thought we were safe. But boy, they came, and it was like watching a swarm of locusts just go into the millie field and just flatten everything. If you've ever seen a swarm of locusts go into millie field, they flatten everything. They didn't leave a thing. So it was, and we watched it all on closed circuit TV because our cameras feed to our phones. So we were watching everything, and they just swarmed in. And within an hour, they had taken absolutely everything out of that store. And then the worst thing was they set fire to it, and you can see there the fire. But if you look what happened when they put the fire, they put petrol all over that whole section, and they set fire to it. But what happened was the flames came up, and there's a textured ceiling on the top. And the sand from the textured ceiling came down and put the flames out before the whole building went. So God was really on our side that day. And you'll actually see where the flames stopped, like literally inches from our roof, which would have gone up like a tinderbox. So for us, that was our saving grace. And then for my husband, it was very sad. My husband is an avid cricketer. And he had bats and balls and wickets and shirts from way back when in cricket, from Lance Klusener's special ball and Alan Donald's special bats and the whole story. And we had to just go, and it was just strewn all over the show. They had taken it, and they had no value for it. I mean, the one shirt was worth like 100,000 rand, and the little chap ran off with it on his back, and he didn't even realize how it was. But we went in, and the most important thing is something like this happens to you, and I'll tell all the listeners, because God does give you these challenges. The first thing when we went in, we said, God forgive them, for they know not what they did. They have no idea the destruction they'd caused, how many lives would be uprooted with this. And it says in the Bible, Luke 23, verse 24, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they doeth. And we had to forgive them first. The minute you forgive somebody, the burden is off you. You've forgiven them, and you just move on. And that's why we could move on. The people who were holding, it's like holding a hot coal. The only person you're going to burn is yourself. So when somebody does you ill, the first thing you've got to do is forgive them. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. And then once we forgave them, we had to clean up the mess. And that was a big mess, as you can see. You saw the eThekwini truck there. We filled 10 rubbish bin trucks, those big trucks that squash all the rubbish together. We filled 10 of those with all the rubbish that was left behind, because they unpacked all the boxes and took the TVs. They broke nearly every TV that they took out, because they didn't understand that they're glass, and you can't stand on it, and it won't work after that. So, and it was left with a huge mess. Now, we were 114 people who were working there, and obviously it was too much for us to do, but the community came down. Our customers, our friends, our relations, people we didn't even know came down, and they said, we want you to get this store going. So they came and they helped us, and we swept the rubbish. They took the rubbish away. They bought their buckies to take the rubbish away. eThekwini municipality helped us. We took all the rubbish out. Then we had to start shipping, because everything was burned. The windows were burned. Everything was burned. So we had to start taking that out and putting new ones in. Now, we didn't have workmen to do it. We didn't have the money to pay them, because obviously the insurance, we don't know if it's ever going to pay out. So it says we don't know if it's going to pay out or when it's going to pay out. So what we did is we used our own expertise. So my assistant manager was doing tiling. My cashiers were painting. We washed the windows. We did everything. We had to do 90% of the work ourselves, because we didn't have the money now to pay other people to do it. So we did it ourselves, and we washed and we painted and we scrubbed and we cleaned and we tiled, and we got everything again looking clean and white and nice. And it was a lot of hard work. We worked morning, noon, and night time too, to get through the work, to get it done. But eventually we did, and then we could open. It took us 9 days. People said it was going to take us 6 months. And in 9 days, with hard work and everybody chipping in, we managed to get it open. And now we open and we're up and running again. So that was the day we opened, exactly 9 days.
That was the day you opened.
Yeah. And that's my manager, Joelle, on the side, and Paul Brown, our MD, on the other side of Ellen and I. And we were there, and we were open, and our customers were coming in. We took pictures, and we thanked the first customer who came in and said, thank you so much for coming to buy from us, because you are our first customer in this new shop that we've now revamped. So we got rid of all the negative energy. We put new energy into the store, and now we're going from strength to strength.
Wow. Look, if you're watching at this moment, I just want to draw an inspiration from what Margaret is sharing. They got looted. She forgave the looters. They forgave the looters. And I don't know what you are holding against someone who has tried to pull down your business. You need to let it go. You need to let it go. Forgive so you can move on. And the second thing that is so striking is that, they sourced from within the employees and themselves, the skills and talents that they need to rebuild, and that is inspirational. That's inspiration. I mean, look, this business is a multi-billion rand business. I remember the first time I met Mr. Alan, we were flying from Johannesburg to Durban, and that was the time you guys just crossed the 2 billion rand mark. That was about 5 or 6 years ago, thereabout. Just crossed the 6 billion rand mark, and he was flying economy on British Airways, and I was like, really? I mean, if my business, is in that level, I wouldn't be flying, economy. But that touched me, and I was reading a book because I was going to preach in Durban. I was going to speak to some young people in Newlands West, and he saw the book I was reading, and it was on dreams. He said, I want to read it after you're done. And we shared the book on the plane, and that was the first time I had a physical contact with him, And here you are saying that you source the skills from within. I mean, there is a picture of you here planning. You guys are painting, and you are part of this. Margaret, you are a huge inspiration. You are a huge inspiration. And tell us, the energy. What is the significance of rebuilding? With your team, physically being present in a time of crisis. What is the significance of that in leadership?
We call it learning by rote. So when I teach people I show them how to do it, and then I say, this is how it should be done. This is how I want it done. And then I teach them how to do it, and then I teach them skills, because a lot of people come to me with no skills. A lot of people come to me with no education. I mean, one of my top sales ladies was my domestic worker who had standard 3 education, and I taught her, and she became she's actually retired now. She built the house of her dreams. She gets an income now every month, and she doesn't have to work anymore. So she started with absolutely nothing. My first ever entrepreneur was my other domestic worker, who came. I was telling them this morning, she didn't even come for the job. She was asking for directions, and I said, come in, you've got the job. And she said, I wasn't even coming for a job. I said, well, that's okay, you've got it. And what she did is, she was really fantastic, and everybody said, oh my gosh, she's so lucky to have Florence. I wish I had somebody like Florence. So when she went home for Christmas, she brought her neighbor with her, and she retrained her. And when she got a job, she would come and she would give Florence 10% of her salary every month. So the next Christmas, when Florence went home, guess what she did? She brought somebody else back, and we trained her in my house, and we got her a job. And every month she would come and give Florence 10% of her salary. And when Florence retired after just over 32 years working for me, she had 26 ladies who came to her every month and gave her 10% of their salary. And with that, she bought a trading store in the Eastern Cape, and she lived till she died, because she died of old age. So it just goes to show you've got to share it. You've got to teach other people. So I taught people, and then I teach the people, and I teach other people, and that's how it comes. And then if you share your knowledge, it makes you feel good, as well as makes the other person has a skill that they didn't have, and you feel good because you've been able to teach them the skill. So many people have got so much beauty inside of them. I don't know if Shane can share screen with some of the ladies we taught to ice cakes. I can't ice a cake beautifully. I can bake a cake, and I can show you roughly how to ice it. But I took ladies with zero education, and they came along, and they could asked these beautiful cakes. They made cakes that looked like dolls. They made wedding cakes with flowers all over them. That beauty was inside them, but nobody took it out. My job in this life is my book is called Taking People from Ordinary to Extraordinary. I take ordinary people, and just by enhancing their skills, they become extraordinary. And we have had the most amazing successes. And the beauty of educating a woman is she will educate her children as well. And if you can do that, and education is going to be the secret of success for this country, because an educated person is you taught discipline and education, you taught how to think, and all those different things will just help this country go from strength to strength.
Wow. And Margaret, look, like I said, I mean, it's obvious. The comments are coming in, and I've seen a lot of comments saying, power woman, Margaret, you're a phenomenal woman. I mean, you are amazing, and we are not just flattering, we are saying the truth about you. And this is a question for you. There are a lot of people who are watching right now and who are affected, negatively by either the pandemic or the looting in South Africa. What is your words to them? How did you recover? What would you say to them? There are a lot of people who are trying to give up. What is your words to them tonight?
Well, you can't give up. This is your life, and God put you here for a reason, and you've got to know what your reason is. I always say your purpose in life is to find your passion and your reason for being here. And once you find that, you've got to give it away and share it with the world. So a lot of people want to give up, but you can't give up. God put you on this earth to test you, to see how strong you are, to see, what you can do. And you've just got to decide what you want. And I think so many people keep thinking what they don't want. So rather think what you do want. When I live in this beautiful flat in Umhlanga where I am now. I have a beautiful home in Joburg. I have a beautiful farm. I saw them all in my mind before I turned them into reality. So what you can see in your mind, you can hold in your hand. You've got to think what you want rather than what you don't want. And even if it seems impossible, I remember when I bought my Porsche, I wanted a Porsche. And people said, what do you want a Porsche for? You don't even drive fast. I mean, you're an old woman, for God's sake. I want a Porsche. And I put the picture up. I knew which one I wanted. And I put the picture up, and I just worked towards it because I pay cash for everything. So I saved up my money, and then when I had enough, I went and I bought it, and it was the most beautiful car ever. And you just see it, and you just work towards it, and that's what you think about. You see the picture every day, working, you put in a little bit of money away every month until you can afford it. And that's what it is. You don't go and borrow money. If you borrow money, you've got to pay it back. And the only person who gets rich is the person you borrowed it from. If you save up and you do that a little bit at a time, and I didn't go from, catching public transport to a Porsche. I had a lot of different cars along the way. I bought a second-hand car, which cost me more money in repairs than I ever paid for it. And then I thought, no, I'm never going to do that again. Then I bought a brand new car. Then people said, you must lease a car. So I leased a car. And guess what? One of my workers took it to go and deliver something, and he had a crash. And then I'd leased it. And I didn't have the car, and I was still paying the money. That was a stupid thing. So then I thought, well, I won't do that one again. And then eventually I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to pay for the damn thing, and then it's done and paid for. So, you learn these things along the way. Nobody can really teach you. I always say what you need to learn at work, they don't teach you at Harvard Business School. You've got to learn it the hard way. You learn it a little bit at a time. The first time you do it, it's a mistake. The second time, if you do it wrong, you're an idiot. So you don't do that. You make sure if you make a mistake once, you learn from that mistake. Never going to do that again. Next time I will know how to do it properly. And that's how it is. It's a long, slow process. So you just decide what you want. Like I wanted a house, then I got a bigger house. My first house that I ever bought, I bought here at 1 Atterbury Road in Durban North. I paid 2,000 Rand for it. That's how you can imagine what it was like. It was a scrap house. But I put something in it, you could do it up a little bit. I paid it off and I sold it. And I moved up the road to a slightly better house. I bought 97 Lothian Road. I put a tenant in there who was from hell. He put his dogs, he used to lock his dogs in the bathroom. They scratched all the enamel off the bath. I mean, it was a nightmare. But you learn from that. And so then I sold that. And then I bought a better house. And so I bought the house of my dreams, which was 1 Grosvenor Crescent in Durban North, which is where I lived and brought up my children. So, you go in steps along the way. You can't, if I decided to buy that house of 1 Grosvenor Crescent, I would never have been able to afford it. But by buying the one, paying it off, that's how to do it. It's just slowly, and just working towards your dream and your goal. You will get there. There's no doubt.
Wow, you will get there. There is no doubt. That's a great word. And I have a very personal question for you. And you've mentioned something about it. Now, here is a picture of you and Mr. Alan, your husband. And I want to ask you, you've been married to Mr. Alan for over 50 years, literally over 50 years. What is the secret to your success in marriage? You're not just a successful businesswoman, you are a successful family woman. And that makes you an amazing, complete being. What is the secret to your over half a century of marriage?
Well, when I married my husband, and you notice I say I married him, it was a bit of a surprise to him. But anyway, when I married him, I said to him, I will look after you better than anybody else ever will. But in turn, you must look after me better than anybody else ever will. I also said to him, if you ever find anybody better than me, you're welcome to go, because I want to be the best person in your life. And if I'm not the best, then I'm happy for you to go somewhere else, but I'll make sure I'm always the best. And and he always came home to a hot meal and a warm bed, and there lots of men, that's all that they want. And he's very happy to be there. And we are closer today than we've ever been in our lives. We've got an amazing family. We've got our children are both married, and we've got 5 amazing grandsons. So we can't wait. And they're growing up to become amazing human beings.
Wow. Now I know why Forbes chose you and called you a queen, literally, and many magazines have celebrated your life, because you are an inspiration. You are a massive inspiration. This is the fairpreneur, and you were on the cover page of that, and many other magazines, celebrating the gift that you are to our generation, And I'm not going to take much of your time. I'm going to ask you my last question, which is your parting words to our viewers. What are your parting words to our viewers tonight?
I tell you all this not to impress you, but to impress upon you that if I can do it, you can do it. There I came out of a foster home, Loop Street, Pietermaritzburg, to a mother earning 30 Rand a month, living in the back room of somebody's house, to today earning a lot of money, owning all my own homes. I've got a couple of Porsches. I have everything that I want. I have the most amazing family. I have an amazing business. I have wonderful staff working for me. You can have it all. Don't let anybody tell you you can't. You really can. But the 2 magic words, which you must never forget, hard work. And I've actually made it 3 magic words. constant hard work. If you work hard every single day, God will reward you with blessings. Never chase money, because if you chase anything, it'll run away from you. Just do good, work hard, and the money will flow automatically. Thank you.
Wow. And that brings us to the end of today's session. Do good, work hard, and money will chase you. Thank you so much for being part of today's show. And thank you so much, Margaret. We are going to be having you, from time to time, please. And look, you're an amazing inspiration to our generation. Thank you so much for coming today. We love you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. God bless you. God bless you.